Start recording. There we go.
All right, thank
That
you
will
very
now
much.
record to the cloud.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I wanted to find out. So for my end, I will just share the flyer so that at least there's a background to what we are doing, and then the participants will see the main event flyer whilst we are talking. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Thank you very much. And please, your name
Good, no
again.
problem. I will drop off the call now, but if you need anything from me, you can just message me on WhatsApp.
All right, all right,
I'm on the ambassador group. You can send me a message.
all right. Thank you very much.
Good. Good luck.
Bye. Terrence, can you see the flyer of the event?
Let me see. Yeah, I can see it.
All right, all right, all right. Thank you very
Yeah.
much. We'll wait shortly for the others to join, and then we can kickstart.
Okay. Okay. Sure.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I hope we are all doing well. Please let me see some reactions to let me know I can be heard. Great, great, great. So we'll wait for a few minutes for the others to join. I'll send a final email to everyone so that they can have access to the link, and then we'll begin our conversation shortly. Yeah. Hello, good afternoon once again. And to those of us who are joining, you are all welcome once again. We are waiting for a few minutes for the others to join. I have sent a final email to all the attendees to join with the link. So wait finally when it's 2:05. Yeah, I think 2:05 would be good, or 2:06 would begin the session for today. So please kindly stay with us. If you know anybody who has registered and is not here, do want to let them know. and also sharing your statuses on WhatsApp to let them know, oh, we have started the session because our speakers are already waiting. So let's do all to invite others, and then we'll start very shortly. Thank you. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I trust we are all doing well. And then a great and warm welcome to all of you to today's session. So I'm Elvis, Kwabena from Nkrumah. I am a Zindi Ambassador in Ghana here. And then ours is to preach data science and AI according to Zindi. Last month, I had our first session where I spoke about Zindi, how you can onboard on the Zindi platform, how you can find challenges, opportunities, and then how to build a portfolio, your data science or AI portfolio using Zindi. We had a speaker from Kenya. I think, yeah, she was from Kenya and she came to give us a great talk. Today's conversation is about AI. As we are wrapping up the year, we want to have a final conversation on AI. What is AI doing in Ghana? We want to find out what are the big things people are doing with AI. We are going to talk to startup people who are in the startups who are using AI massively, how the system is looking like, the role AI is playing, how AI is helping them do what they do. So today's conversation is going to be a great one. Please relax, pay great attention, and then you'll be joining us in the conversation very soon. So, few housekeeping rules. Please do well to mute your mics. There'll be a part of the conversation in case you have questions for our panelists. But for now, please do well to pay attention. Also, you can choose to show your camera or not, but I prefer that you don't show your camera so that you get a strong internet connection to join today's session. And then final check. Please, can I be heard? Let me know. Let me see some emojis to know that all what I've said, people have heard it. Great, great. So, Felix, hey, how about the rest? If we don't show your emojis, we are not starting. All right. So, great, great one. So, kind notice the session is being recorded, and I want to seek your permission to let you know that the session is being recorded. So, in case you're not able or something, we can catch the conversation once again. Thank you for letting me know, Caleb. I'll adjust so that the line doesn't break again. So yeah, a warm welcome to you once again, and then we'll begin. Now to start today, our conversation, we're having two panelists who are going to be joining us. The first is Mr. Emmanuel Vonyo, who is a AI engineer at Fort IR. I will not introduce them because I will let them introduce themselves so that they don't say I've overhyped them. So I'll let them introduce themselves. And then our second speaker is Mr. Terence, currently a teaching assistant at the Department of Computer Engineering at KNUSC. which is in Ghana. So they are going to be telling us what they are doing. Before we start, Mr. Manuel, please, can you hear me? Can you speak for me to do my sound checks to ensure that you can be heard?
Yeah, I can.
Sharp, sharp, sharp. Great. Mr. Terrence, pick one, pick it before we can.
Yeah, I can.
All right. So great one, great one, great one. So we are starting our conversation. Today, our session is on AI for development. What AI or AI is doing in Ghana. I want to know how it's looking like. To start with, Mr. Manuel. Mr. Manuel, please tell us about yourself and what you do.
Okay, thank you. So, as mentioned, I'm Maonyo, and I'm currently an AI engineer with 4th leading the engineering team here. So it's data science slash AI. But also, I'm also a co-founder of a startup called Frederick Care, which I may be speaking to more in this session. So, in that startup, I mainly lead operations and also development of our tech products. Yeah. So that's just like something brief about me.
All right, all right. So please, with time, you learn a lot of things from Manuel. He doesn't want to talk too much. Mr. Terrence, please tell us about yourself.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Again, so as we've heard, I'm Terrence Tinkrine, a recent computer engineering graduate from KNUST, that's Kwabena University of Science and Technology, and I'm currently doing my NSS there as a teaching assistant in the department as well. I'm also part of the group, or should I say, the soon-to-be established startup that's Nova HQ, where I happen to be a co-founder there as well. I think that's about it.
All right, thank you very much. So we'll dive deep into the conversation now. Now, for the first part of the conversation, there are going to be general questions. And so it's general, and then each speaker will give us their view of the subject. Before, in the next part of the conversation, we'll go to specific questions for each speaker. So for the first question, why did you, when I say you, I mean Mr. Maunyo, Mr. Terrence, why did you choose your respective sectors to solve AI, to solve problems with AI on? So Mr. Maunyo's sector is agric, I believe. So why agric, and then why AI in agric, Mr. Maunyo?
Yeah, so why a Greek? um, Definitely we had the vision of building in Ghana and spanning across Africa, and in looking out for problems that we needed to solve, we looked out for like the ones that were very critical, and also looking at the team that we had. So we're a team of 3 people, like early on, who wanted to like solve a problem, right? So we looked at what interest we had across board, and that is how come we ended up doing something in agriculture, specifically poultry farming. And that was because we realized that there were a number of solutions in the crop space as at the time, but we didn't really have a lot of solutions in the livestock space. So specifically poultry farming, right? Or in the livestock space, we realized that you do have like a number of solutions that maybe are doing like remote sensing for plantations, things like that, but you barely see solutions in livestock. So that just was the challenge we wanted to solve, and we found that interesting. Yeah.
All right. What about you, Mr. Terrence?
Okay, so why the health space? Okay, so the the truth of the matter is, I would say my team and I think it all happened in October, right? We were 6 people who, I would say, were strangers, and then we found ourselves participating in a hackathon. That was the Hack 54 Health Hackathon. And as the name goes, it was a hackathon meant for all the participants who would later be grouped into groups of 6 randomly, right? We were supposed to all come up with solutions in the tech space that solve problems in the health space here in Ghana. So during that hackathon period, should I say the sector or what the problem we're supposed to solve was in the health space. So that's how come the health space was chosen. And then so when we formed as a group, we basically tackled the problem by looking at the problems we face in our very day-to-day life, like sometimes overlooked, but then can be made efficient with the help of technology because we believe that technology necessarily does not need to be ish or anything, but then it should just solve a problem. So that was how I'll say the idea Nova was born and then the Nova HQ came to being. Thank you.
All right, great. Hackathons, hackathons. So today we have learned our first thing, hackathons. Now, with our next question, we want to find out so far, how has the journey been? Are there any challenges? What are you going through? Are people even adapting to the AI you're using? Do people even trust you or believe you? And how is it working? How effective is it? So, Mr. Man, talk about this before we go to Mr. Terrence.
Okay, so
Okay, so okay.
is Terrence going first?
Oh, no,
Maybe
no.
Terrence could.
I
Okay,
think you
Terrence, do you
go
want to
ahead.
speak first? Oh, no, no, he said you should go.
I think let Mr. Marinho take the lead.
Oh, coward. All right, that's fine. Yeah, so for us, when we started off, I mean, we were very pumped up, like excited, right? Okay, yeah, we had like this cool computer vision solution for poultry farmers where they can get like real-time alerts. This is going to like save them a lot when it comes to mortality, all those like things, right? But then we did conduct like some market research even before we set off to start building like a commercial like level solution, right? So everything was just first, it hadn't even got to like the MVP stage. It was just like something we were just trying to pilot, like bits and pieces of it. And then we quickly got to realize that, okay, what we actually doing was not culturally relevant. It was not going to be something that people would easily adopt uh, because because of the type of people we're dealing with, that is farmers. You definitely have some open-minded people out of the bunch, maybe 1 in 100 farmers that understand what you're trying to do. Um, and appreciate it to the level of wanting to put their money there. Get me? But yeah, that's what I actually mean. Like they are willing to spend money on that because they see the purpose. You just have like quite a handful of that, and that's what we quickly got to realize. And another thing for us, which proves to be a challenge, was that entering the space, we were of the assumption that the space was already a bit like digitally inclined. So it's not like farmers already had smartphones, but like they were using the smartphones in their operations that we could leverage on data that is already collected on a day-to-day basis. But that was also another reality we came to that the entire system was still heavily based on pen and paper, and even worse than pen and paper was the fact that there were some farmers that were actually keeping records in their mind, like they keep it in their head. So when you ask them, "Oh, when do the birds come in?" and they can tell you that, "Oh, I don't know if I can speak to you on this platform, but typically, like they will speak to you, right?" So we're like, "Oh, then maybe the birds came in on the 1st of January 2024, and it's still laying on this day, and like that." So, like everything is kept in their mind. So then you ask yourself the question, then how do I get access to the data I need to even get a very good AI model to roll out for these people to improve like their efficiency and solve like these challenges that we are spotting? So I'd say yeah, in short, these are like the two main challenges with building. With regards to like the first part of the question about the process of building, it's been user centered for us over the past 3 years and counting. We've quickly learned to always ask them, involve them in the entire process of building instead of building something, sending to them. So you spend 3 months, you send out something to them, and you're like, okay, like this is not relevant to us. You rather have them in the loop with building. So maybe I'll just pause here. Maybe Terrence can also add some exciting stuff.
Wow, in the queue. We wanted to interesting, interesting. So user engagement, engaging the users. So Mr. Terrence, would you also want to share on the subject?
Yeah, yeah. So just to um continue from where he stopped, user engagement, right? So that is very important. With this tech journey that I'm on, I've realized that is the key thing. Building for the people in mind, not building what you think they want, but then building what they actually need. And then you can only get that through consistent feedback and all that. So with our journey as Nova HQ, as I said, we came into being as of October this year. So I'll say we are barely 2 months old, right? And the journey has been some way, personally. If you had asked me 3 months before today or something, I would have said I do not see this coming, right? So we went into the hackathon and then we just did our best, making sure that the solution we would come up with is something that is of essence and then it's actually doing a lot, right? We at the point we even had doubts as to whether we would even win the hackathon or not, and then we won. We won it, right? And then after that, the journey has been good in the sense that the brains behind the hackathon were making sure that we actually push forward. Because what happens mostly is that probably after hackathons or after any competition, people come out with brilliant ideas and then after that they get their prize money or something, then that's the end of them. You don't hear them again. They share their money among themselves, they go and chill and all that. But then unlike Hack 54, they are behind us, pushing us and giving us a lot of platforms for us to be able to go there, tell people our idea, pitch it to them, and then get the feedback. So we are still in the, should I say, give and take phase where we are not yet live, but we show people we have our demos working, we have the prototype versions working there. You can use it, the MVPs are functional, right? You get to use it, you get to tell us, oh, your take on it. We analyze it, we assess it, and we are like, okay, this is what is needed. And I believe that was even what made us win the hackathon, right? Because it was just 48 hours, but then we built it along the line with our 48 hours, making sure that we are communicating with people, both from within our circle and people from outside. So that has been it. The opportunities keep on coming. I think recently I had to represent the team to deliver a talk at Tech in Ghana, the mid edition at that happened here in Kumasi at the Asia Palace. And it was a big program that saw a lot of, I'll say, the big tech people in Ghana. And then a lot came with suggestions. We met some who even considered investing in us because it's quite a thing. When you have a startup and then do not have funds or something to push it, it's hard, right? So we are in that phase of going around pitching, looking for investors or something, right, to put in that. But then so far, the feedback we've gotten has been great. We look forward to going live by the end of January next year, right? We look forward to going to hospitals to get them on board, taking advantage of any tech platform, basically. So as they see, I'm over here. So any platform or anything that gives us the stage, we go there and then we tell people the problem we are solving. And then we hope for, should I say, positive feedback. And then we hope to see Nova live. Thank you.
What you bet out of one hackathon. And that's what we do here at Zindi. Try to organize hackathons for you to participate, for you to play around with your data using data science so that you can drive business decisions. Now, next set, we want to now understand, after all these, which platforms are helping you in terms of building your AI models? What somebody wants to know, what platform do you even use? And then some Ghanaians are of the view that some of these models which have been built already, some of these foundation models which have been built with data from the, in quotes, Western world, don't really suit our context here in Africa. How did you go about this type of challenge and how is it helping you, or how are you overcoming it at your end? So, Mr. Mauno, you can start with this one.
Okay, so tools and platforms we use. I would say the AI space is technically like writing hard code in Python. I would say right now that's like our go-to language. But in terms of data annotation, our go-to platform has always been RoboFlow. We've tried Label Studio amongst others like in the past. But I would say, yeah, currently it's mainly RoboFlow we use on that front. There's off the top of my head, I can't think of like any other platforms to mention right now. It's not like they are paying us to hype their platforms, anyways. And as to the question about foundational models and how relevant they are to our space, well, let me give like a typical example from our journey, right? So we have one product we call Clark Lens. I think I've touched a bit of it in the earlier inputs, where we take camera systems and then we observe birds in any pen, most especially like in the breeding stage, and we track like feed and drinking patterns, things that could cause mortality, such as like overcrowding, uh, unauthorized human entry, things like that, right? And when we started off, we started with like using different types of cameras, collecting data from like different centers. We started from research farms to commercial farms, just taking like data and then hiring people to annotate them through like some grant programs and like some internal funding that we were able to get together. But then we quickly got to realize that that was like a very tedious task, and like the models that we're going to get at the end of the day may not be near perfect. We would have had to keep like working on that before we finally release the product. And that is where on the tech side, we then started exploring foundational models that we could use to do this. Models that are trained on like tons of image data and are good enough like to a large extent. So we quickly adopted one of those. It was actually a variation of the SAM model, the segment anything model. Recently, they just released SAM 3, which is like a very cool one. So maybe you could explore that. So we use like a variation of that, like a very lightweight one, because we are more focused on edge computing. So the ability to process every single thing on the field. So that particular foundation model came out very instrumental in the work we were doing. Of course, it was not perfect for our use case out of the box. We definitely had to like build some custom data processing layers on top of that. But then it significantly cut the time it took for us to start engaging with farmers in our pilot. So definitely foundational models are like pretty cool. And right now the whole hype about LLMs, like language-based ones, is so cool. We've been exploring, we actually have one product called Clark Chat where we provide insights to the farmer like in natural language. So based on like what we tell from their farm records and the data we collect, you're able to tell you that okay, you're not achieving like better feed efficiency because of those products you're using, or you're not feeding like with a like you're not following proper feeding schedules, things like that, right? And even the introduction of Function Gemma by Google is even more exciting for us this week, because now we could even move away from functional foundational models on the cloud to foundational models on like smartphones, right? So foundational models are key, I would say, most especially to building in Africa and how resource constrained sometimes we are as startups. Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Terence, if you want to add or say something.
Okay, so for we used React Native. We used Expo. So ours was a mobile app, and then it was a mobile app because from our surveys or online interviews with people, that was what people preferred, right? People would feel comfortable downloading a mobile app than tapping on a link to a web because of some certain beliefs, right? So that was it, mainly using Expo. And then for the AI intuitive aspect,
Hello, Terence, are you there? I think Terence's network is dropping off. I think he should join soon. And then, so we'll skip that one. When he comes back, he will answer that for us. I think his network is not good. So when he comes, Terence, are you back now?
Sorry, my network.
All right, you can continue for us. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll continue from, I've already talked about the expo and then it's been a mobile app.
Yeah, mobile
For,
app.
yeah, for the AI aspect, we honestly do not, or we're not able to, should I say, train a whole AI model due to the limited time. We had 48 hours to make everything work. I think we even probably used, I think, the first 5 to 10 hours to even figure out what we should even tackle at all before we even started building and then brainstorming and all that, right? So we leveraged on chat. Yes, we leverage on ChatGPT, wrapping it up and then restricting it to the health space, right? And then it was good, but then we see people would always be like, or that's the fact that AI is not, should I say, favorable to us in this part of our world, since it's was not, should I say, it doesn't have more of our localized context and all that, right? So that's where when during the wrapping process, all that is needed, making sure that the AI now poses as a doctor in your field, and then by giving it the necessary information. So though it's very hard to actually get a good health data set available here in Ghana, because even why our project or our idea exists is because there's that data interoperability problem that our data in Ghana here is not synced. So you go somewhere, you travel from region to region, and then you do not have access to your medical records, right? So even getting that data set to train our wrapped ChatGPT stuff was a big problem. But then we're able to do it. So as at now, we're still refining. That's how come we've not gone live. After the hackathon, most of our team, we are 6 in number. About 4 of them are still schooling. Hopefully, after the vacate, which I'm sure was yesterday, we would meet, go back, refine it, and then make it more refined. Hopefully, we will train a model from scratch into looking at how it can best favor us locally in our health set, understanding us and then understanding our environment. So should you, let's say, because our model, our idea, Nova, it's basically helps with predictive health analysis as well. So you complain of this and it looks at your region and tells you that, okay, maybe if you have, maybe let's say, this type of symptom, then it means this, right? Because probably if you're outside, you having that symptom might not mean you stand a chance of getting this. But then looking at your context, and maybe here in Ghana, the particular place you are, there's a high increase of this particular disease. So you starting to have symptoms can mean this, right? So there's still a long way for us to go, but we believe once we go live, the feedbacks would come more, people get to actually see it. So now it just doesn't become me just talking or our team members just saying, oh, Nova is this, Nova is that. But then you get to actually work with it. And then with feedback and constant development, we should be able to do. So yeah, that's it.
All right. All right. So we'll move to the second part of our conversation. Now we have gotten a broad overview of what our people are doing and how they are leveraging on AI to improve sectors like health and then agriculture. Now, we'll go to the specific questions here. For this part, we'll start with Mr. Terence. We want to understand your team is doing a great work since winning the hackathon. And then how are you leveraging on these AI models to improve or to solve the solution you plan to do? Because it means that I've done a lot of research. And then how is AI helping you to solve your issue?
Okay. So entering into, again, mostly I would always refer us back to the hackathon because that was our most productive. I should bet that was part of, like, that was one of my most productive 48 hours ever. Yes, so I would always take us back to the hackathon. It was in the health space, and then some challenges were raised before the 48-hour time was set for us to start, right? And then there was, from our research, we realized currently there's a high surge in, should I say, people getting chronic diseases. And then we realized that AI can actually play a role in, should I say, predicting this. not necessarily like a genie, but then in predicting this, right? Because AI is good at interpreting data and then what it means. That's a trained AI that knows, that has good prompts and knows what it's about, right? So Nova, apart from the fact that it gives you the opportunity to take your health records wherever you go, it also comes with a predictive, should I say, healthcare analysis, right? So as your medical record sits on your phone that you get to go around with every time, it is not just sitting there doing nothing. Right? It's like how when you save money, you get interest. How when you save or when you are building your medical records after using Nova for some time, right? It sees the trends in, should I say, the symptoms or the prescriptions that have been given to you over the time as you visit hospitals, or even let's say the daily input. So Nova is built such a way that apart from when you go to hospital, right, with your Nova ID or the Nova app, you can be able to generate your health records since most hospitals, hopefully, would be also linked to Nova, right? Apart from your data health records being built, the AI makes careful analysis of it, and then it's able to tell you, okay, so looking at this direction, maybe in the week you've gone, or in a month you've gone twice to the hospital, and then you've had this recurring problem, right? It can advise you or give you a heads up that probably you should foresee this coming, right? And then I believe that that is a lot, at least, because sometimes you are doing something and you have no idea, and then before you realize that you are sick or you get the chronic disease that is very troubling, and then it might be too late. So, as the saying goes, early detection is best. So, with predictive healthcare that our AI seeks to do, right? When you use Nova, it helps a lot. So that's how we are basically leveraging AI, especially in the app, to do that.
Yeah.
And then also there was one common thing that was mostly people also neglect the, should I say, the psychological aspects, right? Mostly, especially let's say even the common say that Bearman or like boys don't cry, boys don't have feelings. So sometimes people go through a lot. Like let's say they want someone to talk to and all that, right? And then I can bet you I have friends or even myself that sometimes I have actually had conversations with AI. Like I open a normal chat GPT app and talk with it, right? So Nova also gives you that platform where in this time the AI is serving as your doctor, right? And you get to talk to. So not even, and then this is such that it's not related to any particular field, maybe let's say only physical health, but regards to every form of health that is possible, mental health particularly. So you can get to talk with it, tell it maybe even your diet, tell it how you feel every day when you get up, how you are feeling, and then can be able to give you feedback back based on what you give it. So
Great,
that's how.
great, great. This one, it will help with the shy type. It will help with the shy. So that's that's a great one on predictive analytics, and now it's helping you in healthcare. I want to find out from Mr. Emmanuel on the side of Fedwike, Fedwike is into agri. How has, since you have been there for some years now, how has AI helped you to drive impact in this space of poultry?
Okay, how is helping us to drive impact? So let me not make this like a product based conversation, but ultimately ultimately the vision is to democratize data driven poultry farming. So your typical like traditional poultry farmer would heavily rely on guesswork or feedback from other farmers, but there is like a general lack of quantitative data or yeah, like quantitative data to actually make decisions like for their farm. So that is essentially what we are doing with our platform. So farmers can now have like access to like their previous records, and then for their next growing cycles, they can um, like make better informed decisions. And like this is not just for farmers, particularly this year, we focused more on aggregators or institutions that work with like a community of farmers. So for the longest period of time, most of these institutions have just been quote unquote flying blind. You have like a number of farmers you are rolling out credits to. So like you are giving them input supply, vaccines, every single thing they need to just grow the birds. And at the end of the day, at the end of the cycle, they give you back like returns after sale of maybe like your eggs or like any other poultry products. But how like do we optimize this? If I guess we are like numbers people here, right? So if you take a look at the numbers, right, reports tell us that currently cost of production of poultry products in Ghana is 200%, about 200% more here than in the Netherlands and like in Germany, right? And that you're in broiler production, like broilers are the ones that are typically grown for meat. You typically have the profit efficiency to be 63% and even less, like when it comes to layers. So what we are doing is to drive those numbers up to make poultry farmers much more profitable. And the aim is to do that within 12 months of them being onboarded on our platform. So that is essentially the goal. Let me just leave it here so maybe we could tackle other questions. Yeah.
Yeah. So great insight share. Great insight shared on that. We want to ask Mr. Terrence. His startup was bet, or he is driving impact using AI from a hackathon experience. For hackathons, we here at Zindi, we try our best to organize them. But some students still don't participate. People are not really into it. How has the hackathon experience helped you, your team at Nova? And then what are some of the opportunities it has come with in terms of in the AI space? What exposure or benefits have you gotten so that somebody too will leverage on participating in hackathons? Because some of us think it's only for professional people who are there, who can participate in hackathons. So we want you to talk to us on the hackathon experience.
Okay, so yes, hackathon. So we are six in number, as I mentioned. And then after that hackathon, 5 out of the 6, that was our very first time participating in something like that, a hackathon, right? Only one guy who had initially done one. And then that was even, he didn't really partake in it, right? So we were relatively new to this space. And then I think we kicked off the hackathon with a talk. And then I quite remember it's like we've not even started the hackathon, and then people are raising questions. People are raising their hands, asking questions that I have not heard, mentioning some tech like tools and mentioning a whole lot. Like, and you're wondering, do I belong? Am I supposed to be here? And all that. It was quite the start was quite some way, right? So we started off with even doubts that one guy gets up to even introduce himself, and then he has won about 3 to 4 hackathons already. And then now these are the people we are competing against, right? So that was our mind. And then personally, I'm the type of person, I think my whole 4 years back in KNUST, there were several hackathon opportunities, but then I did not see myself venturing because I was like, oh, maybe I'm not that good of a developer to enter that space. So let me just be at my corner, right? It was by some outer miracle that I even applied for that hackathon and I found myself there. So that was it. But then one thing I realized or I noted after that was that you do not need to be, should I say, a very good developer before you'd even put yourself out there or even venture to partake in a hackathon, right? The whole essence of a hackathon is to challenge you, and it is not really your, should I say, your coding skills, because personally, this is very debatable, right? But I'm of the view that we are entering a space or a future where it will be more to be less of coding and more of understanding the whole framework architecture and then basically what you want your solution to solve. Right. The rest we are seeing even the basic AI is chat and stuff being able to generate code. We are seeing Google anti-gravity, we are seeing a whole lot, right? So that was it. So I think in the team, we're 6. Technically, only one guy was the one who was doing all the coding and development. And then we realized there's a lot that goes into coming up with a solution. Sometimes you see a tech solution, you think that, oh, the coding must be hard and it ends there. But no, research alone, it's on its own, right? Especially UX research, right? Where you have to get to know the things people like, what somebody wants to see in his app, so that when you have it, the person gets to actually use it. And it just doesn't sit there being fancy, but the person doesn't use it, right? I think it was even in the research where I discovered something that I think for every app the basic thing is within 3 steps, you should be able to do what the app is meant for. It's something I learned new. So let's say you take your WhatsApp, you tap on it, you look for your contact, you send a message. So within 3 steps, you've done the most basic thing the app was meant for, right? So it was through this research and all that, we were able to refine our idea and then make it the best that was able to win it. So I would say yes. And then the hackathon opens you to a lot of things because before the hackathon, I would say I was somewhere, some corner be in my life saying I'm about to graduate from computer engineering and tech. But after the hackathon, I got to meet people who have successful tech startups and then are in the tech market thriving, right? And then the platform, as I mentioned earlier, Tech in Ghana, brought people not only from Ghana, but from London as well. And then these are people who have been where we are today, right? And they're able to give valuable feedback, be able to relate with us, tell us that, oh, we've seen this, but then no, there's more hope and all that. We're able to meet people who are in the government sector because we had reps from the Ministry of Communication and Technology. We had reps from the Ministry of Health, all partaking in that conference, who all approached me. imagine if they approaching me to talk about the prospect of Nova, and then so it's the hackathon really opened me up to a lot of possibilities, and then there's space for good where perfection is not needed, but the willingness to, should I say, grow is needed. So now, now I'm a hackathon ambassador. So wherever you are, wherever you see yourself in, let's say, a tech something, you don't need to be techish, right? Because we had two people who had no idea about the tech world, and they're part of our team, right? Today they can boast of being co-founders of a tech startup. Do you understand? So a lot goes into it, not just the coding. And then that hackathon has provided us with this, right? With people even telling us of ideas we didn't even think of. Oh, why didn't you use this platform rather? This is faster. And from our research, we realized this. Okay, then we consider it, right? Being flexible as well. And then not being scared to share your ideas, because I was of the view that, let's say, if you have a good idea, you keep it to yourself because you put it out there and then realize maybe somebody will take it, right? But then once you brought up the idea, no one can do it as good as you, the one who brought up the idea. You can always have a way to channel it to make it suit you and work best. So yes, that has been a platform. That's how helpful the Hack 54 Health Hackathon has been to Nova and to Nova HQ.
Great. So please, we have a hackathon ambassador here. So please, those of you who have not enrolled on the Zindi platform, don't forget, every blessed week, there's either a challenge, a hackathon with money on it. So please, if you have not created your profile, your account with Zindi, do well to create your account so that you get the whole experience, win some cash, and probably you might not know where you'll be invited to speak like Terrence. We want to move to the next part of the conversation. We want to speak to Mr. Maonyo and ask him. In his conversation, he mentioned that at a point we're using some particular tools and then they changed to some other tools. And then for some tasks, they use RoboFlow, and then they are more into Python and stuff. I want to ask that why or what drove those decisions to change platforms? And then what AI engineering approaches does he think are most promising for solving development problems in Ghana?
Elvis, that's a very long question, to which I'll give a very short answer. Yeah, so I mean,
I'll break it down for you, don't worry. So we start with the first part. Why did you change platforms?
why we change platforms is basically maybe usability and the purpose for which we are doing something, right? So definitely, if we are trying to solve a problem and then we see one platform is giving us like, let me give maybe like a fair example. I think I mentioned Label Studio and then RoboFlow, right? So yeah, RoboFlow is like a paid platform, and Label Studio is open source, it's free, you could just get it on your laptop. But then for the scale of annotation that we are looking at, if you had to use Label Studio, that would mean you can't get like a collaboration on that. As at the time, I don't know if now things have changed. Maybe somebody on the call has like done a project where people can collaborate on Label Studio, but as at the time we were using it, no. So that is like we needed that collaboration bit and exploring like other tools. We chanced upon RoboFlow and then decided to use that. So hopefully maybe that answers your question. It's just about usability and what we deem right in a particular case. To the question about engineering approaches, maybe I'm just going to mention two of them, like approaches we should look at. So I think earlier in the conversation, I spoke about user-centered design, right? So you going by that design thinking. I don't know how many of us are like familiar with like design thinking. It's actually cuts across like almost every field that you are that you work in. So having that mindset when trying to solve an engineering problem is key. And uh, you mentioned development problems in Ghana, like specifically development problems in Ghana when we are building AI technology. I would say with regards to that, one approach I have seen was to have the mindset of building on the edge. So how can you deliver the benefits of AI to someone without the person necessarily being connected to the internet? Fortunately, let me even make a confession, right? Like before we got on the call, so I was using like Wi-Fi, right? But then I quickly had to switch to MTN, like and use like a mobile hotspot because I didn't want like any issues with connections. So that is like one challenge of building like for Africa, right? You don't know how stable the internet can be. And maybe for us, we are building like in the agri space, which may not. It is critical. Like there are some critical instances. Example, somebody like walking into a pen and finding like 1,000 of their birds dead. And trust me, yes, we've seen instances like that. But maybe more critical for the field Terrence is working in like healthcare space. Imagine then there's light towers, the hospital doesn't have a backup generator, and like the hospital maybe is like using a system they've built which is critical, and someone is on like the is in the surgical ward, something, and then now your AI model can't work. There is no way to defend that, right? So building on the edge is really critical at this point in Africa. If you want to build something that still solves our problems, you have to look at what the infrastructure is now. We can't solve all the problems. You can't tell me that to build your AI models and get it running efficiently, you have to go and build a data center and then you have like a whole cooling system running. Then you go to the government and take a contract and then replace ECG with a very good. You can't solve all that, right? So you look at what is currently available, and then this one thing is what I'm saying in terms of energy challenges in Africa, to still build a solution that is still relevant to the population. Really start thinking about building on the edge. How can you serve AI models from like your mobile app without necessarily being connected to the internet, from that single board computer or from that laptop? Yeah, like having that mindset when building should be very critical as much as you can, as much as you can. Sometimes it's just impossible to do that in certain cases, or next to impossible. Everything is possible. But yeah, I would say like that is one key approach for building in terms of development problems in Ghana.
Yeah, great insight shared over there. So edge, building on the edge, building on the edge. I believe we are taking notes, my people. Please, those of us on the call, if you are taking notes, let me see some reactions. Hope you are not listening to this like a podcast, but I beg you people, please. Great, great. So we want to finally conclude this personal question side and ask Mr. Terrence that what does he see in terms of challenges that he thinks they are facing now or they might face in the future when it comes to scaling up with their AI solution? And how does he plan to overcome them? Yeah.
That's to me, right?
Yes, please, Mr. Terrence.
Okay. Okay. So exactly. I think Monya has answered half of what I was going to say. So that's AI on edge, because you need something that is dependable and reliable, especially when you're in the health space where even a second, even a millisecond matters. Everything matters, right? So that looks like a challenge that we need to actually hit and reach there, right? Because once you have AI on edge, you do not need to really depend a lot, like let's say network connection, because we do know our setting, that's Africa, Ghana here, we do know our setting. Let's not deceive ourselves. So I think that is it. And then the other main problem too is data, basically, right? Because from at least from my experience with AI or with the saying garbage in, garbage out, AI is basically useless unless it has a good data set from which it can work on. So today the chat GPTs we see, the Geminis we see, the Claude AI we see that are performing and doing well. Yeah, because they're trained with good data sets. It's like, let's say normal human beings, you grow up, right? It's what you are trained on, whether from the environment, from schooling, from parents, from family, anything. But that's what gets you to being who you are, right? So basically, that's how AI is working. So it's the data problem, right? So once we're able to work on that, we'll be fine. It's a challenge, though, but I think it's promising in the sense that after the Tech in Ghana conference, the rep from the Ministry of Health, he approached me saying that I think the Ghana government looks at working towards that. I think after they are done with this cyber security, I don't know if they are done yet, but they're working with some governance around it. After they are done, there will be a summit where they will talk about the AI in health and then data sets and how they are going to, should I say, make the data available. Because health data is something that people take very private and personal, right? So that's even and then Nova seeks to make your health private to you, your data private to you, and all that. So he even informed me that he would make sure he gets a rep from our team, Nova HQ, to be there and to see how the whole idea is gotten. So I think with regards to that, at least from that experience, hopefully, if what you were saying comes to being, there's hope for that as well. Working with the data sets, at least if you have access to good data sets that are in a Ghanaian context, that can be able to be used. The AI can learn from it, can be trained on it, and then it can give out the best of results as compared to what we get today. Yeah.
Great. So good data sets. Good data sets. Now, finally, I want to ask Mr. Emmanuel, how does he see the AI space evolving in Ghana's tech landscape in the next 3 to 2 years? 2 to 3 years, sorry.
It's like you want to make me a prophet this afternoon. But yeah, I'll say with trends we are seeing, we are pretty much excited as a startup ourselves, right? Because of the focus that has been in the space for a number of years now. I think we've been hearing a lot of conversations around digitalization, and as Terence pointed out, cybersecurity, things like that, right? So these things are starting to come into like most of our public conversations, and like public view is coming to it like more and more about the need of digital transformation. And I believe that is key to an AI revolution like in our part of the world, right? So definitely in Ghana in the next 2 to 3 years, maybe we'll not see like a massive use of AI across board, most especially in like rural communities. But I do believe there is a massive trend that we are seeing of like dependence, and not just in terms of people who are users of AI, but actually builders of it, right? People who are building like some really cool platforms that are solving like real life problems. And so on the usage end, we are looking at universities approving use of ChatGPT and things in the exam room, not just in Ghana but across the world. But then I would say definitely it's looking up. It's looking like we would definitely get there as a country in being AI biased, I would say, in most of the things we are doing just to improve efficiency across board. But definitely there is some stretch on the runway for us to get to where the Western world is in terms of like their adoption. Yeah, but I would say this younger population, like this younger generation in Ghana, is very enthused about AI and tech, and yeah, it's exciting. Hope that answers your question.
Yeah, yeah. So we want to conclude the conversation with the last part. With this part, the question should be to one of our speakers. So each any of you, if you want to take it to answer it for us, and then we ask our audience that do you have any questions before we continue. So we want to find out in building your AI solutions, how can one balance innovation with inclusivity, especially in Ghana's diverse context? So if any of you want to go for it, Mr. Charles, Samuel, any of you can go for it, and then we go to the second.
Okay, so let me, the little I know, I think I can say it. So I think with inclusivity, basically if you make something accessible to all, right, and then I would just use for example Nova, right? So the edge that Nova has is that even without a smartphone or internet access, you can still access it, though not the complete package, but then you can use the USSD and then you can still get a benefit of it, right? So what we need to work on, or what we are currently working on, is what Maunyo talked about, the AI on edge. But with that, it should be able to, because as he said, there are times when I can actually relate to what he said. Before we started the Zoom meeting, earlier when I left off, I had to change from the Wi-Fi to my mobile hotspot, right? Because the Wi-Fi, there was a light out and then it got disconnected, right? So by doing that, making it on AI on edge, making it as accessible, implementing things like USSD. So today, if you cannot even use, let's say, the MTN mobile app, you can dial your *17 something, and then you're able to still access some features of it, right? So basically, that's from our end. That's what Nova is implementing to make the AI usage accessible to all.
Mr. Manuel, you want to add something?
Well, I think he's like made a very good point. Maybe the little I'll add, like in terms of inclusivity, it's still like user-centered design, right? So if when building a product, you're not just building for just a particular like set of users, but you want to look at like the entire scope of people that would find this usable, and then you get to work with them. And most especially, you want to take a look at those who are mostly ignored when it comes like building of solutions. I think when we think about inclusivity, what immediately comes to mind, like the perfect example is like a staircase leading into like a building, right? But you don't have a ramp for somebody who uses a wheelchair. So there's not just like when it comes to like civil engineering, like construction work, but when building like our product itself, you want to consider someone who may be blind and like really can't like interface with the technology. Maybe as Terence said, maybe the person doesn't have a smartphone but has a YAM, right? I hope I can say YAM in this case. So the
Yes,
person at least can use a
yes.
USSD code in this case. So with inclusive design, we should just always have like that mindset. A ramp also like in conjunction with the staircase, so that you can have the other person who is in the wheelchair still being able to use your technology.
All right, great. Building for everyone. Now, next I want to ask, so how can Ghanaian youth, so young people, how can we get involved in shaping AI for good initiatives?
Okay, so maybe I'll start with this, and maybe Terence can also add up. I'm sure he will also talk about hackathons. So let me not. I could say a lot about hackathons also to a large extent. Um, I'd say one key thing for youth like us is always to keep our eyes out for problems. We sometimes for like tech inclined people, you're always excited about like using AI to like solve like something, right? But like to solve something, you need to like first see what you have to solve with that. So I'll say the first thing for us as youth to get more involved is to keep our eyes out for problems, like problems that you yourself encounter, right? So certain inefficiencies in the process that you're going through from the time you wake up from bed till like you go back to sleep. Do you encounter like any challenges for which like we could solve it? And most especially the problems that you can relate with, you can find like the best solution to that, use that solution, and then somebody who has like a similar problem would also find your solution useful. And we've seen like a lot of products like churn out like in that way. So I'll say to get involved, maybe don't wait for somebody to like come and give you like $1 million in order to start, right? Use the lean methodology. First find the problem and then work around it. You would quickly get to realize that with time you get to understand the problem even more. You get like access to more resources. You get wiser in solving like that particular problem, and who knows, you could like build like the next unicorn for like with global impacts, like things like that. Yeah, so maybe that's the point I'm going to make.
Clarence, you can come in.
I think that's that. Yes, anything else is just repeating what he said. So that's.
All right, all right. Thank you all. To conclude, we want to ask our speakers any final words. Mr. Manuel, Terence, anything you want to say, any suggestion, any idea you want to give somebody, please, the floor is yours. Final words.
Just to steal what Maunyo said, just be intentional, right? As he said, there are a lot of things. If you really sit back, be intentional, you sit back, you realize that there are a lot of things you actually go through that can be made more effective or can be, should I say, need to reduce stress. After all that, I think back in SHS or JHS, that was the definition for technology. Anything that makes man's work simpler or easier, right? And then when you are put to that spot, you get to think, you get to realize that, wow, there are a lot of inefficiencies in your day-to-day system. Sometimes you might not really notice it because it's like like you are born into it, right? So everybody, you've taken it like that because everybody is taking it like that. Nobody is complaining, right? But then probably look out and say, no, what if it can be done this way, right? And then you realize that you actually think of ideas, right? And then you realize that, wow. So, and then you see how good tech is. So you don't just see people doing it and see something and be like, oh, this problem I have with it, I'll solve it for you. But then now you would actually be the one coming up with ideas. You come up with ideas. Don't just also close it, right? Be open to it. I think, as Elvis has mentioned, Zindi gives the hackathon platform, right? Even with that, there are various things. And then basically, I don't know, maybe the other platform, but I think hackathons are the best since they give you exposure to new competitors. That's the most important thing. Because I learned when there's no competition, there's no push to make progress, right? But when there are, it gets you thinking and you see it. So first is be intentional. Know that once you're a tech enthusiast, be intentional. See how you can always make everything very effective, how you can streamline stuff. And then when you have an idea, don't just sit on it, right? Find a way to, should I say, make it come to life. That's what I have to say. Thank you.
Make it come to life. Mr. Manuel, any final words?
Okay. Let me just say this. So 2 points. The first one, I don't think I joined as many sessions like when like starting off, or even now. I think like now sometimes I barely have the time to do certain things, right? But like joining like a call like this where like we get together, we listen to someone, things like that. You keep doing that. I would say like stay connected to a community of people who are like-minded, who also want to like do something like this. I think Terence like made that point, but just wanted to reiterate that, and not just the online sessions, but find like programs that are that you deem beneficial. Please emphasis on that, because some of us just end up going for like program after program, and then like you're wasting your time because you're not really making meaningful connections out of that. Don't make superficial connections. Don't just connect to someone on LinkedIn because like you saw them, but like connect with them, maybe just to engage with their posts, to see what they are posting. Maybe once in a while you send them like a message, things like that, right? So create like beautiful relationships from some of these engagements, community engagements. And the second one, more in relation to what we are talking about here, like in terms of development, is that don't give up, please. Don't give up. Sometimes on the journey, you may, at a point, everyone's like, really, this is like a cool idea. Like you are building something really like good. I like what you are doing. Some of you like, I want to invest, like things like that. But then it gets to you get like some really silent months or maybe like silent years. People may not really be appreciating what you are doing. Maybe competitors may be like getting ahead. And it's like maybe you're not really getting any like innovative thing. Or maybe you don't even want to build a startup. You just want to like build something and be relevant in the space. You just want to keep holding on. Like don't give up. Keep pressing. All right. There's a favorite quote from someone, Apostle Paul. He will say that forgetting what is behind, and then you look, all right, you look onward and you keep pressing, right? You keep pressing because there is a certain crown of glory at the end of the day. There is something you could achieve, all right? Whatever you are building, maybe there is an impact you want to see in the world. There are a number of people you want to reach. You want to see your solution in the hand of somebody and making life better for someone. So always carry that vision every single morning. One question you are asked typically as a startup founder when you meet an investor is they ask you, what keeps you awake at night? Let that vision, that goal keep you awake at night, all right? Because when it gets tough, that vision is what will keep you going. So maybe I'm just going to end on that. And thank you really for having us. It's been a pleasure.
All right. Thank you too for your time. At this point, we want to invite questions. If you have been on the call, if there's something bothering your mind, please you can unmute. Maybe there's something they said you didn't understand. There's a question you have been bothering to ask you at the beginning of the event. Please feel free to let them know and then conclude today's session. Anyone? Please don't feel shy. Your serious of your questions are actually questions. Feel free to unmute if you have anything to ask. Please do well to ask. If not, you can feel free to reach out to all of them. You can email him. You can connect with him and let him know you have seen this and this. You want to ask him. And I believe Terrence too should be there, and then you can communicate with them. So no hand is up. All right. So in absence of any question, well, I want to thank all of you for making time to join today's session. This is my last session of the year. God willing, next year we go back again, coming back stronger. But thank you all for making time to join. A big thank you to our speakers too. Today I've heard a lot of things, building on the edge, user-centered stuff and things. Our conversation doesn't end here. We have seen what AI is doing in Ghana and how it's helping people drive impact. Now let's go back. As Mr. Terrence said, we should take initiatives, we should start somewhere, and conclude with what Mr. Manuel said, we should never give up. Thank you all for making time. And to another event, have a great festive season, and then we'll meet another time. Bye.